Hey guys, it's me, and I am actually here with my first Saturday stash dive for the SNL design team, and I'm so excited. So I'm just going through some products here, and me and Ronisuescrapper here on YouTube have paired up to do rub-ons, and then Tiffany Westbrook, who is the guest designer this month, decided to throw in like some inks or paints along with the challenge. Hang on, honey. Sorry about that. That is what I'm going to attempt to incorporate here. And I don't have a lot of rub-ons because I don't use them very often. And the ones that I do have are pretty old. At this point, I kind of have a general idea of what I'm going to do, but I don't know what I'm going to use. So I'm just starting with that white piece of cardstock there and my photo, which is printed at 3 by 5. And then I'm just picking out various designer papers out of this Cosmo Crooked paper pad, which I believe is called Summer Love. And it's just a really, really pretty collection. Very summery colors, and I really love like the yellows and the pinks and oranges and stuff in it. So really, really pretty, and they went with this picture really, really well. Yeah, I am just coming up with a basic concept for my layout here, and you know, trying to figure out where I want everything to be. So I decided to frame the whole layout on that like ombre type of blue paper back there. So I just cut that white cardstock down just a bit. I just wanted a really slight frame around it. And as you can see in my main area there with my photo, I have a couple vertical elements and then a couple more horizontal elements. And now I am going to pull out a piece of vellum and a white piece of cardstock, and I'm just going to start playing with stuff. Yeah, so that is a just like a natural sponge, and I just got that at Michael's. They're really, really cheap. And I pulled out a bunch of these Making Memory paints, which are pretty old. Yeah, so I'm just going to take the sponge and I'm starting with the pink and I'm just going to sponge it on. And while I was doing this, it just reminded me of like the 90s and like sponging your walls. Like that was kind of like a fad then. And that's so what this reminded me of doing. So then I moved on to this yellow here and now I'm going to do just a little bit of orange. And um, I have a blue and a green also, so I just cut the sponge in half, and I am going to put those on the other side. And a little bit of orange is going to get mixed in with it just because some was got on the sponge, but that's okay with me. I'm not too finicky about it. So the reason I didn't mix them all together is because I didn't want to end up with like a muddy look at the end, and I didn't want it to be too overwhelming to the eye. So I just did warmer colors and cooler colors. Um, and now I'm going to do the same with this vellum. And, you know, in the process of doing this, I was really inspired by the Lemon Lush collection. If you guys have seen that, there's a lot of these similar colors in there and like a very, not so much a mixed media feel, but kind of a mixed media feel, if you know what I mean. If you've seen the collection, you definitely understand what I'm saying. It's a really pretty collection. There's one page in particular that um, has some butterflies and stuff on it and like a quote and kind of a mixed media-ish type background. So that was a bit of inspiration. So these are most of the rub-ons that I still have intact. A lot of them I've just given to my kids to play with because like I said, I don't really use them, but I do not give my kids Tim Holtz items to play with. And so I do have two different packages of Tim Holtz rub-ons. And the nice thing about those is you get two sheets of the same sheet in each one. And so, I never feel guilty about using something because I am definitely that type of scrapbooker sometimes. I just took this first sheet out and I had already cut a couple things out of it, but I'm literally just hacking it and rubbing it on. So, I'm going to have them overlap and I'm going to have some go vertical and some go horizontal. And I'm not paying too much attention to what they say, more as I just want the overall look of everything. to be text and then the paint in the background. So visually, I am just picking, like I have one bolder, larger element going vertical, and now I have one going horizontal. So I'm just trying to balance it in that type of way. And then also just trying to fill up that space. So, yeah. So I didn't cut any of this out, I don't think. So you get to sit here and watch me rub stuff on. And that white stick that I'm using is just a Martha Stewart air dry clay. Oh, I did cut it out. So that's the vellum piece, and then that is the paper, and then I left the other two just blank. So I also pulled out a few dies, and I'm going to be die cutting out of these, and that was my goal. Is I wanted to create some embellishments that went with this collection because I don't have a lot of embellishments to go with it. I think I have some canvas brads and some stickers, and that's it. So I really wanted to create some coordinating embellishments, and that is what I decided to use the rub-ons and the paint for. So I'm just running through some spellbinders, and I cut that butterfly out because, like I said, I was really inspired by that Lemon Lush collection. I love that collection. I have a 6x6 pad of it, and I still haven't used it because I don't know why, because I'm a hoarder. So yeah, I cut a smaller one out of just the single, no rub-ons of the cooler colors of paint. And now I'm going to do some hearts in the vellum here. And that piece of vellum, I also used some Hambly rub-on frames that I had. So, I mean, that just lets you know how old these rub-ons are, which I haven't been scrapbooking that long to have purchased them personally, but I've just gotten them through buying bundles of things. So, hang on. So now I'm going to take all of these separate layering elements, and I'm going to use my Tim Holtz Distress tool and distress the edges of them. I just thought it would add more of a summery look. Not so clean cut, more relaxed, more, you know, I don't know if distress is more summery, but for me it was on this page. So yeah, I'm just going ahead and distressing all of these pieces. Don't push that, honey. And I try to put a scratch piece of paper there because so many little bits fall off of that when you do that. So, and now I am going to put some ATG around the edges of this paper, and I put it in a bit because I wanted to fold the edges up and kind of distress those a bit just to add some dimension there. And then I'm going to put all of these pieces together the way I had them, and I do have all of the ombre going from light on the top to dark on the bottom in each separate piece. So that viewfinder is one that I cut out of the warmer colors of paint on the vellum, and that is the Tim Holtz die, as well as the chevron, which I cut out of the warmer colors with the rub-ons on the white cardstock. And that die is one of his newer framelit dies, and I really like it because the pieces inside of it are really cool too when they come out, and I'm going to use some of those too. So you can see I just die cut various shapes. You can see them off to the left there on that piece of white cardstock. So I have some vellum hearts there, and then there's those arrows I told you about that come out of that framelits die. And I had cut some clouds out, but they weren't going to work. so I'm going to pop my picture up on the cluster there, just to, the main area there, just to give it a little dimension. Although I am now going to cut a piece of cardboard, and I just keep spare cardboard around for this purpose. And I just cut a piece of cardboard to fit the back of it, and that really elevates that part right there and gives it a lot of dimension. And I loved it. It looked so good. So yeah. So that's how that's looking, and I'm just going to put a little bit ATG on here. Oh, I ended up using more of a dot runner, and put that in there, and then the picture. So I'm going to start sticking things down. And I'm just attaching them to each other at first, and then I'll attach the whole piece down. So there I go with that. And then, yeah, I think I'm going to put the picture down soon. So But yeah, I really do like the way that this layout came out. I thought the embellishments looked pretty good and kind of looked like they, belonged with the line. So that was good. So I just layered those butterflies together, which I knew I wanted to do. That's why I cut a bigger one out and a smaller one out. And I'm going to stick them up in that corner eventually. And then I was going to put those vellum hearts in the bottom right corner of the picture, but I figured they would, they looked a lot better in just the bottom right corner of the entire layout. So now that is just like some circles and a scallop circle that I punched out of the papers that I painted. And I'm going to stick one of these canvas brads through the middle of it. And those go with this collection. They coordinate. And it's just a hexagon with a heart, but the canvas provides a really cool texture. So, and I'm also going to put one in the middle of these vellum hearts here. So. And I picked like a green patterned one for that. And I'm not sure watching the video if I like that. It might have looked better with just the hearts, but it's done now. So I'm just going to use some Scotch Quick Dry to put those down. And as you can see, the tops of the hearts curled. I had left at that point for the night, and when I came back, they were curled up. So I just took some glue dots with my scissors there and stuck them behind to hold it down. And now I'm just looking through some of the sticker sheet that came with it, and I knew I wanted to use this piece under these arrows down here just for some added interest and just to ground those arrows or those chevrons, however you like to call them, and give them a place to rest too. So then I'm going to add a couple more on there, and I alternated them to ones that did have rub-on pieces on them and ones that didn't. So and I like how that looks. So instead of gluing them completely down, I'm going to take glue dots and put them just in the middle of them so that the sides I can kind of, bend up a bit and it will have a little dimension down there as well. So just gluing those on down and just kind of popping the sides of everything up a bit. And I'm going to do the same with these three up here. And I think I'm going to find a sticker. Yes, I'm going to use this red sticker, which I probably would never use on a separate layout. I mean, it's cute, but it's just not something I would probably use. And I'm just going to layer it under that circle embellishment that I created there. And I was just having a look to see if there was something else I wanted to use, and I really loved all of those tabs. They all summed up a really nice feeling for this picture, but I settled on this blue happiness is more for the fact that I felt like I was lacking some blue in the layout. So that's how I decided on choosing one. And now I'm going to work on my title, and I'm going to put it vertically on the left side of the layout here. And those are some letter tile stickers from Crate Paper's random collection. And then these are a blue glitter thicker, and I believe I'll show the name a little bit later, but I love these. I wish I would have gotten another package of those when I got them. I think I got them at Tuesday Morning a while back, and I love that font. So yeah, bummer. If I see them again, I'll grab them. And so now I'm using this Amy Tangerine. I believe that's goodness, and that's in a wood grain. And I'm gonna spell out earth with that. So it's kind of like the heaven is the blue, and then the wood grain is the earth. And then I have the same tile stickers for the smaller words. And it wouldn't all fit in one swoop, and so I cut them up and decided on a different placement, and I like how it ended up looking. So yeah, so you're just gonna see me put those down, and as you can see, the W hangs off a bit on the left, and then I have the H hanging off a bit on the right, and so um, it doesn't look crazy. Sometimes little things like that bother me, and sometimes they don't, but yeah. So LAX, that's what they're called. It's not even that color that I'm specific to, although it is a very pretty blue. It's more just that font. I really, really love that font. So yeah, now I'm going to take a roller date stamp. I miss them. I haven't used them for quite a while. And so I'm going to take this one, and I believe I'm going to take the one that says, it's a Dear Lizzie one, I believe. And I think it's going to say Happy Place. And I'm going to take some Heidi Swapp mustard and use that ink for that. And I'm just going to stamp it 2 times up there in that corner right by the title. And then I'm going to take I think a Studio Calico one, or maybe another Dear Lizzie one. I think another Dear Lizzie one that has the day of the week on it. And it was a Friday. And so I incorporated that into the date also. And I'm using that same mustard, and I stamped that twice. And that is pretty much it. I'm going to do a close up, and then I'm going to realize I didn't journal. Like, I like to journal in the fact that, years from now, someone's looking at these. Oh, let me interrupt myself quick. I took a slick writer here because I don't sew. I don't even own a sewing machine, but I wanted some like faux looking stitching on those chevrons. And so that's what I did with a slick writer. And they worked beautifully over the rub-on. So back to the journaling point. I like to journal just in case whoever's looking at this years down the road can get an idea of what was happening, but I'm not a huge journaler. So that's enough for me. And I think